So I've made a lot of modular buildings in my time, both official sets, modifications of official sets, and also custom builds as well. But I've been thinking, is it possible to make a modular building out of one of LEGO's most rarest colors? Let's find out. All right, so Smarsk Blue here is one of LEGO's most rarest colors. It is not the rarest. There are a number of other colors out there, but this is one of the harder ones to get. There are not a lot of pieces in certain shapes and sizes, and so pretty much what you find is what you can get. And these are not cheap to come by. I only have 100 1x2 plates in this color, and that's it. So we're going to have to see how far we can stretch these, but that is what today's video is for. So if you guys are excited for this and also interested to see how this goes, make sure to stick around until the end of the video because I don't even know what this is going to look like, so let's get started. Now, I'm not just making a building for the sake of making one. I'm going to actually place this in the city once this is done, assuming this turns out good. So I took a base plate from the city and it's now on the build table. So I guess the first thing to do is to just dump out these pieces here and then we can just get started. Again, I don't have a plan for this. I'm kind of just winging it. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of pieces in my collection that I think could match this odd blue color here. And we are going to get started. And hopefully in the next clip, I will at least have something to show you. All right, so I have approximately 0 of the Marisk Blue pieces on the base plate right now. However, I do think that I am starting to come up with a plan. And that plan is to use reddish brown as an accent color. And other than that, I don't really have a plan. My first thought was to stack the 1x2 plates. That's probably the most clear thing to do. It's probably the easiest thing if you just stack them all together because 3 plates is 1 brick tall. So I could stack them all together and then just line them up. But I think we could do a little bit better than that, and I kind of want to lean into saving as many of these as I can because I would like to make this a tall modular building instead of just 1 floor. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative here, and I think I have a way to do that. And so the idea that I had in mind was to use headlight bricks, and this piece here has a half stud indent in the piece, and so you can see that lip at the bottom there. And we can use that as texture. We can use that to our advantage. And so we can take 2 of them and put them next to each other and put a Marisk Blue plate on the front of it. And then we have that little lip on the bottom. And when you stack them together, it's going to look like brickwork. And I think that's going to look really good. So I think this is how I want to proceed. However, we have one slight problem. And that problem is that the amount of headlight bricks that I have is approximately 9. You are looking at all of them that I have in light bluish gray. And so while I think light gray would be the right tool for the job here, we are going to have to transition to white. White is not ideal, I don't think, but I have a lot more white headlight bricks. As you can see, this is my drawer of most of the snot bricks that I have. You can see a lot of white. The medium blue I don't think would look that great. And then everything else I don't have enough quantities of. And so I think white headlight bricks is the way to go. I have a few in black as well, but I think that would make it too dark. So we're going to go with white, and hopefully this works out, but we're going to have to see how that goes. It is Lego, so we can use our imagination just a little bit, and hopefully the shadows cast in between each of the plates makes it look a little bit darker than it actually is. And so now you notice that I've gone ahead and added just a little bit more to this setup right here. And so as you can see, we added a door and also a step up to that door. So that's a good sign. And I also went ahead and I added these little modules on the bottom, which essentially just is these pieces right here. And so I took a bunch of these, put them in a row, and I put a tile on the front of them just to help give it a little bit more height. Because again, I only have 100 of these, 98 now that I've used the first 2. And so trying to extend out my use of them as far as I can. And I think this is a pretty good way to do that. And so now it is just time to go ahead and make a bunch of these assemblies and stack them up. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Let's go ahead and add them to the build. Perfect. All right, so we've built up some of the walls here, and I think it's starting to come together. And I did also go ahead and make a couple more of these assemblies here to add right here. However, we are running into a little bit of a problem, but I think we can fix that pretty easily with this right here. I don't like the black door frame nor the black door, so I think we're going to swap that out for a white door frame and a white door, and it is going to look something like this. So that's pretty simple. It's a pretty easy fix. And now we can move on to starting the interior, because I think we're going to have a raised floor in here. Otherwise, it's going to be all grass, and I don't think that's going to look that great. So we're going to add that in, and then we can go ahead and start to build the walls up. I am running into a different problem, though, with the walls, and that is that I don't have many 1x3 bricks left. I got a bunch of these on the pick-a-brick wall, and this bag was nearly full at the start of this video. And the same thing goes for these 1x2 plates, because I've been using these to make 1x2 bricks. Don't tell anyone I'm doing this. And so I don't really have that many left. And so if we go ahead and run out of them, then we're going to have to figure out something else. But I think I have a plan to help that. So let me go ahead, let me get some more stuff done here, and I'll show you guys what we're working with. But as of right now, we still have 79 Maersk Blue 1x2 plates left. So we're not doing too bad. This is the first floor. Mostly, the facade is mostly done here, and I think that's looking pretty good. And then we can go ahead and we can start to flesh out the rest of it and see where it goes. So how I'm making the interior is pretty simple. I'm just taking some plate and I'm adding a couple stacks of studs on the corners here, and then you can just add this in just like so. And there you go. You have yourself a nice little platform that your minifigures can stand on. And I also rebuilt this entire wall here to include a staircase. So now that is all good to go. And then on this side, I rebuilt the wall as well to add some light nougat bricks in to that side, because once this is up against another building, one, you're never going to see it, and two, this helps look like the minifigures have painted that wall that color. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think that looks pretty good. And so now we need to flesh out the back, and we need to figure out a couple of interior details, because at the moment, this doesn't look all that great. All right, so a lot's happened. We now have some windows and a door. We also have more windows and another door. And we also have a staircase, but I think you saw that already. Still nothing on the rest of the interior though, but we are going to be working on that next. I just wanted to show you guys that I did finish up the facade here, although I don't know if I really like the window design above the door here. That might be something that we fix and replace with more of these bricks here that we've made. I don't know if that's the right build above the door. I think this is probably going to be something that looks a little bit more interesting. And we can also save these extra 2 Maersk Blue pieces for our creations later. All right, so in order to make interior details, you're first going to need some furniture. And so what we're going to start with here is first this bracket here. You're going to go ahead and add some studs underneath, and then you're going to go ahead and clip them together like so. Then you're going to take 2 grill tiles, and you're going to take one and put it on that bracket, and you're going to take this one and put it on the other side of the bracket. And there you go. You have yourself one arm, and you're going to add a couch cushion for that. And then you just take that assembly and you build it twice. Now, to clip these together, you're going to take a 1x2 plate on the front side here and clip it together like so. And then on the back, you're going to take 2 of these pieces here, and you're just going to connect them like so. And then you're going to take shield tiles and place them like so. And there you go. You have yourself a nice little couch. The reason it's blue is because I had all the pieces in blue. I was going to do it in a different color, but blue it is. And I think we're actually going to lean into this with the facade. And so all of the furniture that we're going to be making for this place is blue. So we're going to set this aside for the time being. And now we are going to make a coffee table, which is very simple. We're just going to take a 2x4 tile, some studs underneath, and there you go. Coffee table. Now is the time to build something a little bit more complicated, because we need a TV and we also need a TV stand. So first what you're going to do is you're going to take a 2x6 plate. I don't have a 2x6 plate, so I'm taking 2 2x3s, and you're going to add studs in all 4 of the corners. Then in order to connect these 2 2x3s together, or if you're just going to use a 2x6, that's fine as well. You're going to take 3 of these pieces here. I have them in sand blue, but the color doesn't really matter. And you're just going to place them on top like so. And then you can also take a jumper and put that on the front. So now that you have this design here, you're going to go ahead and take a 1x4 plate and put it on the back. And then you are going to take 2 more of these pieces that we used earlier, and you're going to put 1 on either end. Then you can go ahead and add 1x1 plates on either side here, and then a 2x4 down the middle, and we are almost done. Then you're just going to go ahead and add some 2x2 tiles on either side, and then a array of jumpers or tiles on the top, whatever you choose. And if you're using jumpers, then you can go ahead and make a TV, which is just a 2x4 tile, a 2x4 plate. And then I used a 1x1 stud in the back, this 1x1 with the bar on the bottom, and then a 1x1 stud with the hole in it. And then you can just clip that on top of your TV stand, and there you go. You can go ahead and add some extra details like a flower pot and also a little trophy. And then we can go ahead and add these into the building. And so here is the interior details so far. I'm going to leave it pretty sparse in here because they don't really need that much. They are pretty happy with what they've got. So the coffee table is a little too close to the wall, I think, so I'm going to move it over. And then as for the couch, I don't have a way to connect it yet because of these tiles down here. They are right up against the bottom of the model. So I'm going to have to go ahead and tile the floor, but I think that is perfectly fine. So with that, there's not much left to do for this first floor here. So let's go ahead and tile off the top, and then we can start working on the second. Perfect. All right, so I'm getting started on the second floor here. And so as you can see, a lot of it is pretty basic at the moment. I just built up some gray plate and I connected it all together. And then I also added these little pieces on the front here just to help extend out the base. And then that way it lines up with the columns a little bit better. And then this wall is going to be brown again. And then this side, we're going to go even more into the blues with the medium azure here. We're going to use that because I have a bunch of 1x4 brick and 1x6 plate. So we can go ahead and make that happen. And then once this is done, this will just sit on the top like that. And then we'll pretty much be good to go. But I want to do something a little bit different for the facade, I think. So what I want to do instead of the bricks here with the 2 headlight bricks and then the Maersk blue plate on the front, I think we have enough to go ahead and stack them to make 1 brick. Hopefully I have enough. If not, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to have to find something else. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stack all of them together. And then we can go ahead and start to build out our second floor here. And then hopefully this will start to look really, really good. All right, I think that's enough for now. While I got stumped on the front, I decided to go ahead and work on the sides and the back. So that is all good to go. Everything is pretty much done. I just copied the same window design from down below. So now we have even more windows, but the same amount of doors. So that is pretty cool. And so now we can go ahead and start to figure out the interior and also the front facade here because I still don't know what we're going to do. I did also forget to carve out a spot for the staircase, so we're going to do that now too. All right, so I've gone ahead and I have worked on the facade here, and I think it's actually starting to come together. I wasn't sure that it would, but I think I'm liking what I'm seeing here. And so I could have probably gone ahead and made this continuous up through here, but I wanted to try something different. And so let me know if you think it would be better with these headlight bricks and the plates sticking out all the way up, or if you think the different textures here looks good. I think it looks pretty good, but I've also been staring at this for a while, and I've also been doing this over the last couple of days, so my opinion might be a little skewed here, but I do think that this looks pretty good. I didn't have enough of the big windows, so I had to improvise here and make a little air conditioning unit here, which I think looks pretty good. And then I want to also go in and add some flowers here before the end of the video, and I also took out the tiles that were along the front here, and I've replaced them with brown plate. So then now this just looks like one continuous column, which I think makes it look a lot better as well. I think that was why I was having a lot of problems with the front here, but this looks pretty good. And we do have the blue wall here, the medium azure wall, and then again, the windows on the back like you saw. And so now it is time to just fix up the interior here. So we're gonna have to go ahead and figure out what to put in here. So in order to make the interior details here, we're first going to need to make a desk. And so you're going to take this 1x2 snap break here. You're going to add a plate and a jumper in the front of that. And then you're going to go ahead and do that twice and add a 2x6 plate on the top. I didn't have a 2x6 plate like I said earlier, so I'm using two 2x3s with a 1x2 right behind it. And there you go. You have yourself a nice little desk. And in order to make a chair, all you need is a 2x2 plate, a 1x2 bracket, a tile, and a shield for the back. I think that looks pretty good. You can put these two next to each other. And now the bed we need is pretty simple design, but we're going to start with the nightstand first. Same exact design as the desk. So the snap brick, the plate, and the jumper. And then you can go ahead and place a 2x2 plate on top. I didn't have a 2x2, so I'm using two 1x2s there. and you're going to do that twice. And then so for the bed, it is fairly simple. You're just going to take a 4x6 plate. You're going to take some white pieces and add them onto the back. And then you're going to add gray slopes here for the covers to look like they are folded over. And then you're going to add some blue shades throughout here with these curved slopes and other things like that. And I had this printed shield tile, so I threw that on the front and called it a day. And don't tell anyone, but I didn't have enough curved slopes in blue. So I went ahead and I added this cheese slope plate and curve plate under here. And that's to make it look like the bed isn't properly made. And so I thought that was a nice touch. And then once you have this, you can go ahead and finish it off with some studs underneath for the legs of the bed. And then that is pretty much it. You're good to go and add this into your room. And so this is what the place looks like now. And I know there's no kitchen in here or down there, but that's because the people who live here like to eat out a lot. So that's why there's no kitchen, no fridge, or anything like that. And so now with all of that, we can meet who is going to live here, and we can also go ahead and make the roof and finish this off. And so for the roof, I thought I'd try something different again. So instead of making the bricks like this with the headlight bricks and the plate facing out, instead I'm making this, which has the plate underneath the bricks, and I'm going to attach it to the roof like so, giving it one final different texture. And so there we go. The entire building is now done. And we have 4 of these Maersk Blue 1x2 plates left over. So let me know what I should use these for in a comment down below. And I'll be sure to add that to the city at some point. But the point of the video here is done. We've made a modular building out of the Maersk Blue pieces. We've used 96 of them throughout the build here. And I'm actually very happy with this and how it turned out given my time constraints, the pieces that I had on hand, and also my challenge was to use as many of these Maersk Blue pieces as possible. I'm very happy with this. I think this turned out really good. And so as you can see, this wall is perfectly brown, except for these 2 Technic bricks down here. I didn't have any in brown, unfortunately. And then so coming to the back here is more brown as well. You'll notice a back door here and some windows, all in the same style. And then on the side here is the colorful wall with the different bricks for the interior details, just to help give the space a little bit of a different color instead of it all being brown on the inside. And then right here, we have the guy who lives here who, surprise, surprise, is wearing all blue. And then that is pretty much everything here. You guys have already seen the interior throughout the course of the video, but to give you a quick recap, down here is the living area, so you can see the couch, the coffee table, and the TV, and then that's where the back door is as well. And then there is a staircase going up to the second level here, and the second level has the bed, the desk, and some nightstands and things. And of course, no building is complete without a lamppost. And so now we have to find a home for this custom building here. And so we're going to try a couple of different places here. I took the half base plate from the one that was next to the Sanctum Sanctorum. So we're going to try it there first. And then if that doesn't look right, we can try it in a couple other places. But I think this is going to match pretty good. So let's go ahead and try it out. All right, so here it is in the city next to the Sanctum Sanctorum. And I actually think that this looks pretty good. I did not measure this beforehand to see what depths on the base plate would look good next to the sanctum, but I think this looks great. I don't even think we need to try other positions in the city, but if there's any buildings that you want to see next to this, comment them down below, and I will be sure to make the combinations happen, and I'll probably post them over on my Instagram, so make sure to follow me over there if you haven't already. But with that, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this little challenge that I had set for myself here, and if you did, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos just like this. And with that, I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.